Hey, what's going on, YouTube world and all who inhabit it? You'll have to excuse my lack of enthusiasm for being back because I've been getting sick the last couple of days, and it's really been taking its toll on my respiratory system, and today it's been taking control over my throat, which is why I probably sound a little hoarse to you right now. That's just one of the many reasons why I haven't been seen or heard from much lately. Which I'll get into as there's a lot of personal things going on in my life, kind of like behind the scenes things that I'm not at liberty to discuss with you right now, but as they come out, I'll sure uh, to keep you updated in the coming weeks. But two of the things that I can tell you about right now, as of this very moment, is one, I will be the proud owner of my very first car. Sorry. I'll be the proud owner of my very first car, hopefully, God willing, by the end of the week. So that's pretty exciting for me. It's a big step in my life personally, and um, you know, I can't really do too much with it because I can't drive by myself yet. I'm going through driver's training currently every week in Duluth, which if you don't know where I live, that's about 2 hours max from where I am, so we gotta drive down there every week, every Wednesday, to do it. But I'm not really worried about it because I'm just, it's a pretty big thing for me, and I'm extremely proud to be able to say that I'll have a car that I can, carry the keys with me and just say I have a car and it's mine. So I'm pretty excited about that. The other thing is that I wanted to talk about, which is ultimately the reason for me doing this video, is that today I joined something called the Smosh Games Alliance. Now, if you don't know what Smosh Games is, Smosh is a very successful YouTube channel. Maybe you've seen Smosh. Um, Ian and Anthony, as they're also known, on Ridiculousness on MTV, or I don't know. They're just a really successful, pretty well-known YouTube group, and um, I'm also a fan of their gaming channel, which they recently opened up kind of this thing called the Smosh Games Alliance to the community, where people that are interested in games, such as myself and other people, can do let's plays and film just a bunch of content and stuff, basically whatever they want, and it's just a really cool thing. And they also help people make better YouTube videos. I know that's something that I want to learn to do because my videos, on a zero budget and me not really knowing what I'm doing other than sitting and talking into a camera, I want to be better, and they help with that. Um, Basically, what that means, though, is that I'm not working through YouTube anymore, because there's a monetary thing where you can get paid for your YouTube videos through YouTube, um, which I haven't yet because I don't know anybody that would want to pay me for what I've been doing since my channel's been up. But hey, um, so basically what happened when I joined was that I agreed to link my channel directly through Smosh Games Alliance, which means that if the day should come where I ever get paid for what I'm doing, I'll get paid through them. Um, and I'm basically working through Smosh Games with YouTube as my catalyst. It sounds weird, but if you don't know anything about Smosh Games, or the Smosh Games Alliance that I'm talking about, Um, I'll put links in the description to all 3 channels. They're extremely fun and funny and just a blast. So if you're fans of laughing and gaming and anything of that nature, I implore you to check them out. Anyway, that's my plug-in for the video. Now, the original reason why I wanted to do this video was to kind of celebrate me working with the gaming community of Smosh Games. And I thought to do that, I would do another top 5 video. I haven't done one in a while. And I know my last one was kind of weird. But I figured since, I'm joining this big, broad gaming community, the least I could do is a top 5 of my my favorite games. Problem with that is I actually started thinking about, what my top 5 favorite games would be, and I just couldn't stop at 5. And I know when I started doing the top 5s, I said that 10 was just too long because I couldn't think of that many. But I think games, especially my favorite ones, talking about them, is definitely something I can fill 10 spots in. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing a top 10 countdown, I'm going to just split this into 2 parts. The first part being 10 through 5, which is this video, and then the next video I do will be 5 through 1. And that's the one that you're really, if you want to know what my favorite games are of all time, definitely pay attention to that one when it comes out at a later date. But anyway, so top 5 of my favorite games of all time. Number 10, starting out, would probably have to be Mortal Kombat. And I kind of say that with a weird feeling in my gut, because I can honestly say that as much as I love it, I've never hated a game more, because I'm not very good at it. And there's kind of just this jealousy of people that are good at it, and I honestly, up until the last year or 2, have never been a fan of Mortal Kombat. And then I started, I got Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice, and that kind of started me, that just kind of started me on the slippery slope. And then as I started collecting my game systems, like the Sega Genesis and Nintendo 64, I just figured that, with my Sega Genesis, we gotta have some old school Mortal Kombat. So I ended up with 1 through 3 on my Sega Genesis, and then 4 on my Nintendo 64, and then, that was that. As far as collecting them, that is just something that I started, I gotta finish. So, I started collecting the PS2 games, like Armageddon and whatever, I don't even remember all of them. I do know there's 10, and I'm extremely excited for 10, which is something I never thought I'd say. And I've become so involved with Mortal Kombat that, if you remember, my New Year's resolution was to get better at Mortal Kombat. And so far, for as long as we've been in 2015, I can assure you that that hasn't happened. But yeah, Mortal Kombat is definitely my number 10. Number 9 is probably a game that's a little weird. And the reason why I say that is because it's a sports game. And to be honest, I've never been a fan of sports games. Like, as far as owning them myself, it just bugs me to have them sitting on my shelf. Like Madden and FIFA and anything to do with sports just kind of irks me. I don't know why. Um, but I do have a soft spot for one sports game in particular, and I think that's because that's the game I played the most. Um, in the arcades when I was younger, like I would waste entire, like my grandpa would put a couple bucks in and I'd have a handful of coins and I would sit there and I would play this game um, till I was done. I could spend 2 hours playing one game. Anyway, that game would be NFL Blitz or NFL Blitz 2000, either one of those. Uh, yeah, I don't know what it was about this game that intrigued me so much. I think it was just the fact of, it's football, but it's got, wrestling. I mean, it's got, you can beat the crap out of anybody. Um, I mean, how many football games is there that you can get away with freaking body slamming? I cannot talk this evening. Body slamming and delivering the leg drop to another player. I remember um, when I was young, playing on the arcade, or at the arcade, I would always wait. One of the things that I always would do was after the play, like the person would tackle the player that had the ball, and then, you'd body slam him or leg drop him or suplex him or whatever. And then there'd always be other players standing around. And what I would do was I wouldn't focus on the person I tackled. I would just go through and like run around to all the other people standing around, and I'd clothesline them. And it was just absolute carnage that I enjoyed very much. And it's probably the only sports game that I can say any day of the week I will um, plug in and play hours of. And one of the greatest moments in my gaming life was when that game finally came out um, for the Nintendo 64. The first time I had one. Uh, and that was just one of those games that I had to have, and I played the hell out of up until I lost my Nintendo. I've recently, like I said with Mortal Kombat, gotten one back, and definitely uh, NFL Blitz is on my list. Um, yeah, so that's I think it's a football game that's 10,000% better than um, Madden or any legal football. Um, I have played Blitz the League, that series. I did like those, but nothing can ever replace the old schoolness of um, of the original Blitz games. Let's see, number 8. I'd probably have to say, and this is another arcade game that would go alongside. If I wasn't playing NFL Blitz, I was wasting my money playing this game, Hydro Thunder. And the reason why I love this game so very, very much, it's so near and dear to my heart, is because that's a game that not only I would play, but my grandpa would play. And my grandpa is probably one of my most favorite people in the world. And I don't know, there's just something special about, um, you know, him playing with me when I was younger, because he's definitely not into video games or anything and technology like I am. So just to have that one game other than Gran Turismo that he would, play as much as I did in the arcades was pretty cool. And then when that game came out for the Nintendo 64, of course, I had that one too. And like every other day, we would have challenges. Like we would randomly like challenge each other to racing boats. Like it was just like a stage under Zorro. Like if I would have had a glove, I'm pretty sure somebody was gonna get slapped across the face and um, be demanded satisfaction or something like that. Um, but yeah, it's Hydro Thunder. Definitely a game that it's probably the game that I love and cherish the most just because of those memories with my grandpa. And I'm super excited for my birthday because I have plans to rebuy it for my Nintendo 64. I found it and I can afford it, and I'm gonna order it without telling my grandpa. And then when it gets here, I'm going to challenge him to a race just like we used to. So it's just, I don't know, it's one of those games. Racing games have never really hit me either. Um, there's a couple, but if I had to think of my favorite racing game, it would probably one of my favorites. It would definitely be Hydro Thunder for those sentimental reasons. And it was just an awesome game because I can't really recall any other speedboat racing games out there. Um, so it was unique. It was fun. I remember the arcade machine was just a blast because you had it was actual like speedboat controls instead of like a steering wheel. It was fun. So that's why it's number 8. Number 7, keeping to my uh, racing theme here, probably be Need for Speed. More specifically, Need for Speed Most Wanted. Um, and I don't really know why I love that game. It's awesome. It's like the best Need for Speed game ever, and it's what got me into them. Um, Cause as I got older, I got really into cars, like really sexy hot rod type cars, and I just started paying attention to cars more. With my grandpa, that's another hobby that we have, and it was just the whole street racing thing and some of the cars in that genre of racing. It just intrigued me, and I remember I bought Need for Speed not knowing that it what it was. I bought Most Wanted, just kind of on a whim. It was $20. I was like, yeah, all right, this is cool. It looks cool, and I bought it. I fell in love with it. Um, and then like a month later, Carbon coincidentally came out. And it just kind of snowballed my love for that series. And that's probably one of the very few racing games in this world that I can say I'm good at. Because I've spent a lot of time in it, and I love it so naturally. I'm gonna take the time. So, Need for Speed, Most Wanted, not the old one, the old PS2 version, I should say. I think the new one, is kind of an abomination because I love the old one so much, and then seeing what they did with it, it just no. We don't talk about the new one. But yeah, number 7 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. For the PS2. Number 6 would probably be Conker's Bad Fur Day for the Nintendo 64. And I didn't know about this game until um, I got older, like a couple of years ago, and that's probably because growing up, my grandparents were very strict about what games I couldn't play. Anything rated M um, was untouched. Like I remember going to the local movie renting place, Mr. Movies, and they would have deals. I think it was Terrific Tuesdays or something, and like you could get just ridiculous deals on renting Nintendo 64 games. So while I was in school, my grandma would go there, and I'd come back to a mountain of Nintendo 64 games. But Conker's Bad Fur Day was actually not one of them. I actually know about this game because a friend told me, I think it was in 11th grade, he told me about it. So I looked it up and I got the ROM for it on my computer. And I loved it. I don't know why. I think because, it's kind of this cartoon. It's playful. It looks innocent, and then you just really realize how demented and, you know, just adult this game is, and it makes it great because I just think, that's kind of environment. That's just the kind of environment that works good with my personality. I thoroughly enjoyed the little stupid humor in it. Um, and there's not much I can say about that game other than the fact of I like it for what it is. And of course, Rareware, I don't think back in those days could do any wrong. I don't think there's a Rareware game that I can say sucks from the Nintendo 64 days. Um, but, you know, Conker's Bad Fur Day was definitely quick to be one of my favorites. And I know it's kind of bold to not have very much experience with it, and to say that it is number 6 on the list of my all-time favorite games, but it's just the humor in anything sells me, and if I can connect with it and really enjoy it, and a game that was just that bizarre, that adult, that kind of adult humor, that comes out of a game that looks like it's for small children. It just has the art style and just the overall world. It looks like a kid's game, and then it's rated M because there's just these really dirty jokes, and just it's hilarious. Um, so yeah, you know, um, I definitely am planning on getting that game also. The problem is that it is pretty expensive. So I know the friend that had it. I hope he has kept it and knows what it's worth. Um, but yeah, that's probably one of the games that I look most forward to getting, just because I know it's kind of a hidden gem. Um, but yeah, number 5 is uh, excuse me. Number 5 on my top 5 or top 10 games, favorite games of all time is probably a series that we all know and love as gamers throughout the years, and that would be the Castlevania series. Now, before you say anything, I have no experience with any of the old school ones, like for NES or Nintendo 64. I've started that with my collecting, but actually what drew me to the series, I knew about it, I knew what it was about, and of course, being a really into it gamer, um, it was something that even though I didn't have experience with, I deeply respected as, yeah, that's a good game. You can't be much of a gamer without laying your hands on a Castlevania. Um, kind of excluding myself from that. But actually, the the games that drew me to the series itself were the kind of Castlevania reboots, um, called The Lords of Shadow. I got the game and just decided to sit down and play it, and you know, I've always been a fan of werewolves and vampires and creatures of the night like that. So just that itself made me want to play it. But just it was really interesting to be able to see where the whole Castlevania thing got its start. Um, as far as the Belmont clan, Gabriel becoming Dracula, and then what transpired because of that throughout the rest of the games. So even though Castlevania games are older than I am, I think the genesis of the series, or the prequel to the series that we all know, starts with the Lords of Shadow. No, I think I could be wrong, but it just kind of seemed like that was the beginning. With Gabriel being Dracula, turning into Dracula by the end of the game. And I remember um, I felt very proud of myself because I'm not really a person to sit and play a game till I beat it. I play a game until I get pissed off and get stuck on a part, and then I walk away from it for months on end until I decide, okay, we'll try it again. Um, which, baffles me with the fact that I was able to get through some of the games later in the countdown, which we'll discuss in the next video. But Castlevania Lords of Shadow was the first game that I can say that I've played from beginning to end and was absolutely enthralled with what was going on. And coincidentally, the night the day or the night that I beat it, the day after that was when the second one was released, and I had planned on getting it. I just didn't think I'd get it the day it came out, and my grandparents were just kind of noticing I was bored, so they handed me $60 and they told me to go to GameStop, and I was just like, it was perfect because I was so enthralled with what was happening in the first game that I just I couldn't wait. No, I have yet to beat the second game simply because I spend a lot of time on other games and the school and everything, so I'm kind of slowing up on that. But I really think my experience with the Lords of Shadow kind of regenerated um, this in me for the Castlevania series. So to recap before my voice goes completely AWOL, because this is getting to be a half an hour video, and my vocal cords aren't really liking that I'm talking very much. So quickly to recap, hopefully I can remember um, the top 10 favorite my top 10 favorite games of all time, 10 through 5. Number 10 would be Mortal Kombat. Number 9 would be NFL Blitz. Number 8 would be Hydro Thunder. Number 7 would be Need for Speed Most Wanted. Number 6, Conker's Bad Fur Day. And number 5, last but not least for this video, would be the Castlevania series. More specifically, if you want to get technical about it, the Lords of Shadow series, but, take it or leave it. I'm just saying Castlevania in general, but the catalyst for that was definitely Lords of Shadow. So without further ado, that's part one of this two-part video. If you're with me thus far and you're enthralled to see what the final uh, top final five favorite games of all time of mine are, then you'll definitely stay tuned for part two. Until then, hope that I don't get sicker, and I'll be able to post part two soon. Yeah, but stay tuned. Thank you for your patience. I love everybody. I love you all. Yeah. Bye.